Before we begin, there's a few things that you should be aware of. If you're doing a SIMnet project that is auto-graded, always use the SIMnet project instructions and the start file in the SIMnet project area. That's what you see on the screen right here. It's really important that you get your instructions right from there. Secondly, if you're doing a project that is not auto-graded, such as pause and practice, we highly encourage that you use the instructions in the sim book rather than the printed book if you have it, because the sim book project instructions are always up to date. And then lastly, there are slight differences between Office 365 and 2019. The book and project instructions are written in Office 365, and where differences exist, they'll be noted in the project instructions or in the sim book. Okay, let's begin. Step 1 says to open up the start file. That's exactly what you see right here. And if it opens up in the protected view, simply double click the enable editing button. And now you can work on this workbook. Also, now's the time to rename your file if you're told to do so by your instructor. Otherwise, you can just simply leave it as is, and we'll move on to step 2. In step 2, we're going to create a pie chart object, and this really isn't difficult to do, so just follow along. First of all, I'm going to select A4 through F4, and I'm just holding on my left mouse. I'm just holding down the mouse button as I hover over all those to select them. Then I'm going to hold down the control button and I'm going to select A13 through F13. And then I'm going to choose recommended charts. Need to be on the insert tab. You'll see a button up there, recommended charts. And I'm going to select pie. Should be the second choice down, but if it isn't, just make sure you click on the little graphic of the pie chart. Click OK. Easy enough. That completes step 2. Step 3. It says select the chart object. It's probably already selected, but if for some reason you were clicked off it, simply click somewhere along the border. Then we're going to go up here to the design tools, the chart design area. Now please note that 2 different tabs open up when you click on an object, at least for a particular chart in Excel. So we need to be on the chart design. And down here in the chart styles, the more button, it says click on style 12. It's probably the last one. I will tell you that sometimes they add things to Microsoft products, but they're looking for style 12 right now. You can see how it changes it just a little bit. That completes step 3. It says size and position the chart object. This is really important to do. It's not just necessary to have the right data. You have to make things look good. So that's why they're showing you this. And Excel, this is one of those features in Excel that they don't really have an automated way to do this. You have to often position things the way you want it. So what we're going to do is somewhere on the edge, I'm just going to hold down my main mouse button, and I'm going to put it so it's in the upper corner of cell 21A there, A21. Then I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller so I can get down to the bottom. And they want us to grab the corner of this and drag it down so it's pretty much at the corner of G36. And if the whole chart moves, you have to just put it back in place and then make sure you hover over the right corner again to be able to drag it bigger. And that completes step 4. Step 5, we're going to change the chart type. So once again, you're probably on that chart design tab right there. We need to choose chart type, change chart type. And it wants us to choose 3D. I can see it right there. It looks like a little 3D chart, but it even says it when you click on it. Then click OK. Easy enough. That completes step 5. Step 6. We need to format pie chart elements. So pay attention here because it's easy to click on something that's not what needs to happen. It says click on the pie. So I'm just going to click anywhere in the pie here one time, and it's going to give me, actually I'm going to double click. Sorry about that. There we go. Double click, give me a lot of options. Now it wants me to specifically be on the Atlanta slice, so I'm just going to click once on the Atlanta slice. So we're going to work with that over the next minute. And then you're probably already going to be on the series option area. One of the choices down here is point explosion. So make sure the Atlanta chart, the pie section is selected. And then I'm going to use the up arrow here to make that 10%. You can see how it explodes out. You can use the drag, you can drag it, but I tell you what, it's really hard to get to where you want to do. So I use the little up and down arrows. Then it says to close that pane. And then it says click the border to deselect that slice, and now we're just on the entire chart. That completes step 6. Step 7, it says to add and format chart elements in the pie chart. So we're going to click on to the chart elements button. It's this little plus right here in the upper right. If that wasn't there, by the way, simply just click on the edge of the chart, click on the plus, and then you'll see some options. You need to select the data labels. Then there's a little arrow to the right. Give you some choices, but then there's more options. I'm going to select that. Then you get a whole series of things you can choose from over here. Pay attention because it wants us to choose or select percentage and deselect value. So select percentage and deselect value. And then you can see these are selected right here. I'm not clicking on anything, I'm just showing you. Not sure if you'll be able to see them. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. There we go, a little bit bigger here. It wants us to hold down the control button and then B. You're going to see these bold. And while we're at it, we need to change it to 12-point font. So I'm going to click on the Home tab and make those 12-point font. And then I'm going to simply click on the chart border to select it. Next, it wants us to click on the Shape Outline button. So we need to be on the Format tab up here. And it wants us to be very careful here because there's things that look very similar, shape fill and outline and effects. It wants us to choose Shape Outline. And for me, purple accent 4, darker 50% is down towards the bottom, but hover over all the purples till you find the exact one. And then we're going to click on Shape Outline again. It wants us to choose weight, hover over it, and then choose 1 point. And then just click any worksheet cell to lock it all in place. And that completes step 7. Step 8, it says select the Atlanta revenue sheet. So down here, there's different tabs. There's 2 tabs right now. There's revenue by department, that's the one you're on. We're going to click on Atlanta revenue. Then we're going to select A4 through E7. And it should appear this quick analysis tool, although I know you can also find it by a right click, and you can click on quick analysis. But I'm going to click on this button right here in the lower right. It should appear for you there. It says select charts and then choose line. So we've now created a line chart out of that data. Next, we have to move it to a different sheet. In fact, it's a sheet that's not even created. So we're going to click move. We're on the chart design tab. This is still selected. We're going to click move chart, click new sheet, and then we're going to type in promo depths, meaning departments, but spell it exactly the way you see it. And please capitalize, the P and the D there, because you don't want to be marked off for something silly like that. I'm going to click OK. That's going to move it to its very own sheet. And you can see now there's 3 sheets down here. Next, we're going to click the Quick Layout tab. So we need to be up here in the Design area. And we're going to click Quick Layout. and it wants us to choose layout 5. So it's the 5th one. It's in the 2nd row, right, at least on my screen. It says layout 5. I choose that, and that completes step 9. Step 10, it says change the chart type. Pretty easy. Over here, chart type. It says click on all charts, which it's probably on anyway. And then line with markers. Line. On my computer, it's already selected, but you could choose line if it wasn't there. And then it's probably going to be the first one that you see. Line with markers, it'll say it. I click OK. Checking my instructions. That completes step 10. Moving on to step 11. We're going to edit chart elements. So we need to click on the chart title placeholder, and you need to type in exactly what it says. Special promotion. Quick double check of my spelling. This program is very particular. Once I find out it's good, I hit enter. Then it wants me to click on the vertical axis placeholder. Type in $sales, press enter. Make sure you get the capitalization correct. You can always go back right now and change it if you did something wrong. Next, moving down to 11E, it says chart elements. So we need to be in the format tab right there. And this is where it can get a little bit tricky. It's not super intuitive. Just kind of have to know where it is. Over here on the left, there's a drop down, and I'm going to choose apparel. And you can see that this is selected right here. This is the apparel data set. And then we're going to click on format selection. We need to click on fill in line. Pay attention because we're going to do this for all 3 of those lines. It's the little paint bucket. I realize that it might be a little bit hard to see. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. And that's not going to make really a difference over here. I need to click on marker. And then it wants me to choose marker options. Built in is the choice. If it's not selected, choose built in. And then bump up the size to 10. Well, we're going to have to do that for both the baseball series and the basketball series, the different color lines you see here. So right next to series options, right here, there's a little upside down, looks like triangle or wedge. I click on it and I can click series baseball. And it gives me all those same options, except for whatever reason the size isn't the same. So I'm going to change the size to 10. Then I'm going to do the same thing again for basketball. Checking my instructions, it says close task pane. I'm just using the X. Then I'm going to click outside of that particular chart. That completes step 11. Moving on to step 12. Sparklines are pretty neat, and it's a great way to display data so you can see how things are going. We need to click on the Atlanta Revenue tab. Then over the F, I'm going to right click, click insert. That's going to put a new column in there. I'm going to move a little bit rapidly here. I'm going to choose B5 through E18. Then I'm going to click on the sparklines button, insert. And by the way, how do I know where to go? Well, I've been doing this a long time, but if you didn't, anytime it's asking you to insert something, it's probably in the Insert tab, most likely. Choose the line sparkline, and that says, what range do you want? Well, I'm going to select F5 through F18, click OK, and you're going to see those sparklines right there. And that completes step 12. Step 13. It says click the format button. So I need to be on the home tab. Format, it wants us to adjust the row height. Going to make that 24. I'm going to hit OK. Need to do that one more time because we need to do the column width. Need to make that 35. Then click OK. Next, we need to select the markers box in the show group. And this is important. Sometimes people have problems finding this. We're on the home tab right now. The sparkline tools are up here, but you need to click on that tab, and now you have a whole host of choices. So we need to select the markers box over here in the show group, and it puts those little markers where the data changes. That's important, you don't miss that step. And then next it says sparkline color to black text 1. And then we're almost done because I'm going to click cell A1 to lock it all in place. That completes step 13. Step 14 is really quite easy. We need to change the layout to, or the orientation to landscape. So I click page layout, landscape, and that completes step 14. Step 15 says to save and close your workbook. 16 says to upload and save your project file. And lastly, step 17 says to submit your project for grading. Great job, everybody. Best of luck.